Hi,
afternoon.
good afternoon. And as usual, we are interrupting people's lunch times. I don't know whether anybody sacrifices their lunch to see both of us gap, but I think a lot of people are actually checking our stuff out later on, which is good, right? Which is excellent. And the funny thing is that that is exactly how we expect it to be. I mean, you might have the odd person who comes in live, but overall, I think that's what we are aiming for. Janavi, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Enjoying the heat.
Oh God. Okay. Did you enjoy? Did you get a toy or two for Valentine's Day?
So my mom and I have this ritual. She gives me a soft toy on my every year, either on my birthday or something.
Oh, that
So
is so cute. We got to see your collection of soft toys. I don't understand this. Oh God. Okay. So I'm so surprised now because I never thought that you would be somebody who would be having soft toys. But because it says, and I know that again, I'm talking to a closet millennial, but Gen Z drives stuffed toy boom. That is what is happening on LinkedIn today. So I thought I'll talk about this because it's really interesting, right? There's this essentially they have skyrocketed in the UK, which is like really interesting. But I think that this trend is probably there across a lot of economies. There seems to be something about soft toys being sold to young adults. So, what do you think? I mean, what I'll read it out to you, and then I'll ask you what you think. Says sales of Jellycat branded plushies have skyrocketed in recent years, and it's not just children driving the demand. Much of the British brand's popularity hinges on enthusiastic Gen Z consumers. You know, this is again fortune, so we can't sneeze at it. The generation has recast playing with stuffed animals into adulthood as something to be celebrated and posted on social media. So, uh, what they're doing is marketing on Selfridges and on TikTok as well. So I've said it. What do you think? What do you think? First of all, as a soft toy enthusiast,
Okay, so as for Indian economy, I have not seen this kind of a trend much. There is a general shift where people are moving towards the toys, but not the stuffed toys things. I think we are still in that era where we are collecting the Harry Potter collectibles or the Star Wars collectibles. So that cult is still prevalent in India. More of anime culture has come to India
yes,
now because Indian trends are generally a bit later from the rest of the world. But
yes,
now that it is already happening in UK, especially where there is already a very large Indian diaspora.
yeah.
So I am assuming in the next few years this trend will boom in India. I think it should not take more than 1 or 2 years.
Yeah,
To come.
no. What is really interesting is that the UK is an economy which is not doing too well right now, but yet this is kind of an indulgent purchase, if I may say, and it is coming from young adults. So it's quite, and I don't think it's their parents who are buying soft toys. I think they are buying their own soft toys, or maybe their significant or bitter halves are buying, stuffed toys for them on Valentine's. But the whole thing is that it's happening in a kind of a bad economy. So, which is quite surprising because normally you'll go functional in a bad economy rather than completely like or is this a sort of a comfort zone booster, or I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think the functionality thing is a instinctual approach, but
Hmm.
a contrarian view we also saw during the COVID era when people
Yeah,
were more going towards the luxury segment, even despite the fact that there were rampant firings happening everywhere and there was economy was on a downhill and all of that. I
yeah,
think these kind of shopping sprees generally emerge from a place of emotional disconnection, or rather an emotional upheaval. So I think
yeah,
this new trend, for this new trend, we should definitely look at the psychological implications of what has
yeah,
brought this new trend into the picture. Now, number one, Gen
absolutely.
Zs. I totally agree with you. I don't think it is the parents buying for them. Um, these
No,
will be teenagers, right? Parents don't buy soft toys for teenagers.
or early
Or
20s. Now
early
Gen Z is
20s.
in their early
Yes,
20s.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I think one of the major reasons is that Gen Z leads a very, very lonely life. Despite the
Hmm.
more of social media that's happening, the less of human connection, physical connection there is. Now, even if you look at romantic intimacy and all of that things, these things have taken a back burner because it has become more casual dating. So these things
Yeah.
have
Yeah,
lost
yeah.
their intimacy or a charm, right? now
Yeah.
you need something that makes your heart pound, makes you feel warmth in your heart, and soft toys are go-to
Yeah.
for that to happen. Now look at some companies that started making soft toys for older people who were in the old age homes, right? So there
Yeah.
was an uptick in these kinds of toys going around in the US, UK markets. Now the same kind of trend has come in with the Gen Zs, because this is the generation that is feeling an equal amount of loneliness now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting that you say that. There are so many thoughts going on in my head, so I'm going to list them one one by one. So first is, I think marketers should look towards adjacent markets. Is a thought that I'm coming to. So the toys is a children's thing, but look at adjacent markets and you might be very well be
Yeah.
surprised. So that's one. The second thing is, and that's a very logical, natural one. But the second thing that what you talked of is the deeper point, which is around Gen Z and their loss of human connect. And if I look at the way in which, I'm not sure whether earlier generations were into stuffed toys. Like for example, you seem to be a millennial who has got her fair share of stuffed toys, but the reason seems to be
Yeah.
different. I don't know whether you'd be the kind of person who'd buy herself a stuffed toy, just to feel comforted. I'm not sure about that. You
So
can
yeah,
answer
one
for.
of the reasons that even I purchase is the stuffed toys is because I'm a single child, and even our home there are two people, right? And we lead very busy lives. So again, the same thing applies to me too. That it is more of a very lonely kind of an existence. So I think I
Right.
can here resonate with the Gen Z people of why they are also living very solitary kinds of lives.
I completely
Yeah, if I
understand.
look at my peers, especially people who belong to larger families or people who have siblings and all of that stuff, or a
Yeah.
large amount of human crowd with them, or
Yeah.
social people, I have not seen much of the soft toy trend going around with them. Maybe because there's no requirement for.
Yeah. No, so here's the third thought. The third thought was that if I see anime, if I see Gen Z and maybe younger millennials going for stuffed toys, and if I see products like Lush,
Hmm.
right, which are like all about a certain different kind of luxury, but which is also connecting to an earlier age of in your life. What I see is a movement towards idealism. So I want to live in an ideal world where anime, when there's heroes, and so people are rejecting the external world the way in which they're experiencing it right now, especially the younger guys, and they. So I don't think it's only about loneliness and isolation, which is correct, but it's also about the fact that they don't want to engage with a messy
Yeah.
world. And uh, and so the social media. So if you see where this is being bought, this is also being bought on TikTok. So this is like a deadly cocktail, isn't it? Wherein you are in a situation where you are feeling lonely, but you also want an idealistic world, and therefore something like stuffed toys or anime and all of that make their entrance. So stuffed toys is something really weird, because if you're looking at romance, and if you're looking at, then you might end up saying, okay, adult toys I can understand, but stuffed toys is like really odd,
No,
isn't it? So
I
it's
think this is more coming from. So look at our past generations. They were the people who
yeah.
survived wars and apartheids and partition and all of these things, right? So that was an era of the Raymond man, or the
Yeah.
hard exterior kind of people, and that was true for both
Yes.
women and men. The emotions were not prevalent.
Yes.
So having
Yes.
soft toys as your outlet seems very oxymoronic in that situation,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? But now that you come
Yeah.
to the Gen Zs, who as an external stimulus, they don't really have these kinds of problems. They are the people
No.
who can get in touch with their emotional self. They have the privilege to do that. We all have the privilege to do that.
Yeah.
So now
Yes.
these deep seated issues are coming up, and now since we cannot talk to the hard exterior older generations also, we cannot connect to them, and we cannot connect to our peer world who are all so very far apart or wide apart in their thought process. More number of resources, more number of perspectives
Yeah.
increases more
Yeah.
silos everywhere. So with increasing
Yes.
silos, you need something that you can just put your emotions to. So for example, when you do therapy, there is this concept of, if you don't have a therapist, just have a soft toy in front of you and talk to that soft toy. So why specifically a soft toy? Why has this?
I could have saved a lot of money, Janvi. I could have saved a lot.
Yeah, why did this culture never come for some action figure? Why did you never have a therapy session with Iron Man figurine? Right? Because that was
Hmm. Hmm.
a therapist is always supposed to be somebody very warm, somebody who makes you
Hmm.
think of a British guy having tea.
Hmm. Okay.
Right?
All is calm and quiet on the Western Front, sort of thing. Okay, all right. I got it. But what is really interesting is the opportunity. Since you said India lags behind the UK, and if the UK, which is kind of a tanking economy, seeing sales go up, then it certainly is something that can happen to India, let's say 6 months downstream, and some other related markets as
Yeah.
well. So it's an interesting opportunity for brands to look into,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
And
I mean, they should
there's
definitely learn from this brand. They made $250 million in 1 year.
exactly,
That's
yeah,
amazing. And the kind of cult that we have seen around followings like Star Wars and animes and all of that stuff. I mean,
exactly,
there is a
yeah,
very, very big market around the soft toy collection. I still remember I had this big collection of Pokemon, Pikachu soft toys, and all of that stuff. Right? So now imagine if brands leverage that. The way we the
yeah,
way Cheetos did with the Tazo collection. I mean, they made ample
exactly,
amount of money just by kids
yes.
purchasing the entire packet for one Tazo, and there used to be the entire collectibles thing. You used to sell it. You never know. You might actually shift into the NFTs made out of the soft toys. So metaverse of soft.
Absolutely,
Imagine.
absolutely, absolutely. Janavi, I'm going to shut you up there because we need to get paid for this kind of free advice going to brands. But I hope that people have gotten something out of this conversation. We've gone beyond our 10-minute thing, and I think that this is a really fascinating conversation. And maybe we should talk about anime and other things soon enough. But I like the way in which your approach is about the whole loneliness angle, and the way in which people, Gen Z is, most older generations that do not understand this at all. And this is where I think storytelling and marketing and product building completely needs to change shape. But on that happy note, all right, see you then.